Hello, how you doing out there? You are connected to SNN Street News Now. Six guys and you, we congregate, and we do this every Thursday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. on the West Coast, Pacific Coast. Also want you to go to our YouTube channel and type in SNN Street News Now. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Also catch us on Facebook Live, and Twitter, and Twitch. We are the masters of intellectual chaos. We're depleted because a lot of our people are going through their own thing. They're on assignment. And so it's just me and this man, Dr. Ron Ford. How you doing, brother?
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Not too shabby. How's everything on your end?
I'm still alive, brother. I am still alive, you know?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's been kind of trying the last couple of days. I tested myself with my at-home COVID test kits,
Mm-hmm.
and I failed miserably.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too. I was kind of shocked. I was like, wow, what, these must be some faulty tests.
Right.
So I went and checked it over and over and over again, and they keep saying you have what they say you have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not feeling, like I should be on my deathbed or something like that. So by the
Well,
grace
that's
of
good.
God, I'm feeling good, and I'm able to proceed with tonight's journey and escapades and see where they may wind up.
Well, I'm glad you're here, man. Those type of things, when you hear about it, a lot of people obviously, they have their bodies different and they respond differently, and everybody's makeup is different. So just the fact that you don't have the symptoms and you're actually feeling well, and that says a lot because you've heard the opposite with certain people that go
Mhm.
through it.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So, hey man, this too shall come to pass.
Absolutely. Let's delve into it. So, moments after Tuesday's shocking January 6th House Select Committee hearing, U.S. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn told the Griot he felt a sense of betrayal by former President Donald Trump, who did not initially lift a finger to stop the traumatic event that occurred on January 6, 2021. Dunn, who courageously defended the Capitol against the violent mob of Trump supporters, said prior to the hearings there was a assumption about what Trump did or did not do to incite the attack or stop them. He goes on to say, but now that the committee has confirmed it, Dunn said it is no longer a thought or suspicion given the breadth of evidence and testimony from the committee. So, first of all, we've been covering this, since it started, and our observations, obviously, on this program. And, for me, it's one of those things where even I think an acolyte of former President 45 would question certain things. Case in point, when you go back to watch the video of Trump, and he's telling them, I'm going to march with you, I'm going to go to the Capitol with you, and does not show up, that alone would have a question in my mind. Some people follow things very blindly and don't think about it because of their quote unquote faith or personal persons they believe in, and just go along and don't even question anything. But that's really dangerous. Even to the point where I know some leaders will sit back and say, do as I do, don't do as I say, and follow me. But then when nobody is there to follow, they've been sired by him. But I guess I don't know. Certain people just look back and say, well, "Look, I didn't even say it didn't matter." I guess if he was there, or not, because it seen what happened on January 6th on that horrific day. But people who are a part of not all, but certain faith-based religions or certain mindsets, it's kind of hard to disconnect, especially when they buy into it 100%, and that's how they deem themselves from that perspective. And that's how they take on their journeys. But when you see all this unfolding and we see all the evidence coming forward and the reliving of it and the testimonies, not only is it a sad day in America, but for other people watching us, it just could be a sad day in the world from a certain perspective. What do you think, Dr. Ron?
I totally agree. On the last hearing, I listened to the leaders of those racist organizations or hate groups that were, thank you, Jed, Um, and they were proudly discussing, their involvement with the overthrow of the government of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And, to me, it looked as though, they just, they fell for the rope a dope. Okay. And then based on the testimony of the girl in the previous hearing, she gave testimony that Trump really wanted to go to be with this takeover so he can lead it himself.
Mm-hmm.
But the Secret Service would not allow it to happen. And they took him back to a place of safety,
Right.
so that he would not be leading this circus. Okay.
Right.
So, and then I look at people that were around him that orchestrated, like Steve Bannon. I can't help but mention his name because this rascal has made several public appearances talking about, you know, he does not apologize about establishing the climate that we have now where
Mm-hmm.
white is right and we're going to take over, the white race is going to take over and be the commanding, force of how things are run. And, I can't help but, get on my platform and talk about critical race theory. Okay. You know, you look at organizations like the ones that testified on this past week, and their whole ideology is to be the superior race, be in command, be in charge, and disrespect women and disrespect people of color. Good evening, Mr. Buck Wheezy. How you doing, sir?
Why can't black people be on time?
Hey, man, I'm just glad to see you, bro. We ain't even gonna go there. You know,
The light
uh,
skinned one's always late. Go figure.
hey, y'all think y'all got white privilege.
Hey, it's light skin privilege, okay? Not quite white privilege. How
But
y'all
yeah,
doing?
doing
What's up?
good,
Good.
man. Doing good. You know,
Nice.
yeah. Just looking at the fact that um, white folks or Europeans had so much control and they had so much abuse towards everyone of color, and women included, that um, they just want to go back and just be where they were most comfortable, you know? And to get back into those times, I would think that, we have to do everything in our power to keep those types of organizations from getting in control. Steve Bannon is proud of the uproar that he has started and the things that he's keeping stirred up. I saw some things in relation to the Senate hearing, this January 6th hearing. They cornered the press, CNN, other press, cornered various Republican Senate or Republican leaders, and they asked them questions about what they felt about what was coming out at the hearing, and they downplayed it. They said, "Oh, it's nothing," And then they asked them point blank, "Would you allow Trump to be your party leading candidate coming out of the convention?" Absolutely. We love him so much that we were going to put him back in office. If he runs, we're going to support him.
You
Uh,
got more support than Biden right now.
Well, but that's the lunacy part of what's going on. This man orchestrated based on evidence, not opinion, based on evidence that have been presented at the Senate hearings over and over and over again. His name is the common denominator for the orchestrator for this chaos. and the overthrow. Now, of course, the Republicans say, well, we believe that the people that went in there and tore up stuff and killed people, oh, they should be punished, but not the ringleader, not the person who bought all this foolishness to the
Ironic.
Capitol.
Irony, right?
Yeah, on his watch. Okay. He called for those people. And in the last hearing, they said how he called for them. When he put out those dog whistle comments, people responded. Oh, he's sending for us. Now it's time to respond. Now it's time to go do whatever he say do. And that's exactly what they did based on the commands of the commander and general in number 45.
Well, it's like I said earlier, when you talk about breaking away from ideology and you realize you've done wrong, or it could be the following, I'm sorry I got caught. It could be all the above. Because it's like, wait a minute, I was for him, but we got caught. Wait a minute, I washed my hands of the whole thing because I want to cut a deal to make sure I won't do any time. And going back to Cassidy Hutchinson, who had her testimony a few weeks ago, I think also shows that not only do you disagree and you're cutting a deal to save your own ass, it's the fact that I think certain people do see the wrong. Not because they got caught, obviously. I mean, that's the obvious. Like, hey, I got my hand in the cookie jar. I got the Oreo stains on my fingertips. Now, what do I do to try to help move forward in the evidence that's presented to me behind closed doors? What can I do to help make things kind of right again and to help put this man away? Now, here's the caveat. He may or may not go away. CNN had a poll recently. If he was run for office today, the Republican Party, 74% of the Republican Party would back him again. So they still haven't learned from January 6th.
Because they ain't got nobody else either. That's a lot to do with it.
True, but they don't want to put their eggs behind anybody else's basket again. They know what works for them is Trump. Whether it's Ted Cruz on the list, and some others on the list, they take like a distant second, third, fourth, and fifth. So, I mean, he's almost like, I hate to put him to KRS-One when he says, I'm number one. No, I lied. I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. He's all positions. What about the Trump Republican Party? Because they won't take time to even groom anybody else. And that's the sad thing about it is, like, you won't even try to bring in somebody new within the Republican Party or various candidates. You better stick with this bozo. And that's what they're doing. So once again, we had this conversation before, no thought process, no backbone, no characterization. Let anybody come in and just do what they want to do with the party. Trump hijacked their party and continues to do so. The acolytes still follow.
Yeah, that's true.
And those, you know what? Those are the people that you really have to blame, is the ones who let him.
Yes.
It's like, you let the fox in the hen house, dog.
Yes.
Why are you complaining now?
Exactly. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the Republican Party has lost its way. And they're not about people. They're about themselves. They're about, the rich to do, with trying to keep their wealthy constituents, happy. And you look at, and I, I got to call his name, Mitch, McConnell. I didn't use the B word, but his state is one of the poorest, out there. And he doesn't care about his people. He doesn't try to bring things back to his state. He just wants to be reelected over and over and over again so that he can continue to line the pockets of his friends and well-to-do people. Because his state, I don't know how many of y'all have been through Kentucky.
Oh, I have. They've got some bad girls in Kentucky.
Yeah. But Kentucky is heels country. You know, so
Hey,
any
so is
girl you talk to might be brother and sister for real. You know.
well, I don't care about the brother, just the sister.
Okay.
Just saying. Oh
Yeah,
man.
but you know, it's pitiful when you lose sight of what you were sent to Washington D.C. to do. You know, all this week, you look at the fact that many of the parents have lost loved ones from the um, Highland Park in Illinois shooting. You know, they're now activists. They're going up and down the hallways in let's see what Jazz said. This is such a cluster.
Giuliani.
You know,
That was funny, Jay Giuliani.
one of the whistleblowers may have been the page or a staffer who Cassidy helped clean the fillet of fish off the wall. That's crazy.
Yeah, but you know what though? We talk about you just said how the Republican Party's kind of gone off the rails or whatever. But do you really want them to get their shit together? I mean, really? Do you want them to be strong and dominant and powerful? I'm happy they gotten their gone off their rockers. I mean, it's like, hey, the stronger they are, the less chance the Democrats of having to be able to get anything done. Nothing can get anything done now because well, it's really sad to me what Biden is going through right now. I mean, just every single chance they get, they are crucifying this man. And he's just old grandpa trying to get through this term and see what happens. Try to do the best he can.
Well,
Although sometimes he needs to shut up, though.
you know, in response to what you said, I would like to see that there would be a reasonable balance, you know, in the justice system. They have the filibuster, uh,
Reasonable.
you know,
It's a big word.
and the filibuster. They have had people across the aisle like Romney. Romney, on occasion, had glimpses of common sense because we all
Yeah,
know common sense ain't common. You know?
right.
And he has sided with what the right side of history. We'll say it like that.
He's more
You know,
fair, it seems like.
yeah, and you know, it should be more people like him. You know, to side with the right side of history. And if the Republicans continue to um, filibuster and stop anything from getting done, then you know they're doing um, the president just like they did Obama. You know, the Republicans came against Obama exact same way and would not allow him to accomplish anything on his watch.
Well, that happens to any administration. You go back to President Obama, who got elected the first time. He inherited a mess
Yep.
from Bush too, literally. Inflation, overseas import, export. I mean, he literally was handed here. He was handed Sanford and Sons junkyard at that point.
Exactly.
How you clean that up? And so now you're able to you have to cipher out what you can save, what you have to throw away, and start all over again. And so any administration that inherits anything else, it overlaps, and of course, and you try to find your way to make it better. As you know by now, because history says, by the time Obama got finished, we were in a better place. Jobs came back to America, and don't get me wrong, there's plus and minus on each side. Inflation is key because that affects everything. We talk about the fact about you can't take what you make if you're just making, say, whatever dollar amount per state, say, $5.75 an hour, and you can't afford food for your family, and everything is skyrocketing price-wise. At least find some middle ground where you can afford food, where you can afford a way to get back and forth to work. Because pretty much certain paychecks, you're pretty much paying for the paycheck because that'll be gone before you know it. And there is enough money to save because, look, like anybody else, when you're going through budgets and tight times, all people want is enough to have enough left over to possibly get some money for a car, to possibly invest into their children, to possibly do something else. When you don't have the extra money after you take care of your bills, That's what people get frustrated at. You got to take care of your
That's
bills.
reasonable people, though, Chris. That's not talking about a lot of Americans who are really greedy. It's not just about maintaining and having a little bit extra. A lot of them are, they want it all. They want to make more money. They want to, push aside whoever they can push aside to get paid. But listen, the reason why my eyes keep getting big, and I'm not changing the subject here.
Sure, go ahead.
But think about our leaders compared to the Prime Minister of Britain. His ass is out of there.
Boris Johnson, yeah.
He resigned over some scandal or whatever. I'm like, what is he made out of? Because our leaders would not be resigning over any kind of, come on.
Yeah. Well, they've been hunting him down for quite a while.
Right.
They have been putting pressure on him for quite a while. So I think by now it was probably time to, what they say, cut and run, because there's going to be some more stuff coming after him. He was involved in that, sex scandal that started, with Epstein. Was that his name? Epstein.
But they ended up popping him, though, for having parties during COVID. Okay, that wasn't
too.
A good idea.
Yeah, but they've been on him quite a bit. It was quite a few things that they were after him for.
But they're pretty vicious, period, though, aren't they? I mean, don't they go after everybody, just like we do?
Well, it probably was a good time for him to go, because if he could have held on any longer, I'm sure he would have.
A good point.
He knew. You think about Nixon over here in the United States. Nixon, got tied up and connected, affiliated with Watergate, and he got reelected. And then they came.
Is that how that went?
Yeah. Then they came to him and they told him, they said, look, man, you're going to have to resign. Otherwise, they're going to, do what they do. They're going to impeach you and they're going to prosecute you. So he
got elected after Watergate. I thought that it was because of Watergate that he resigned.
Yeah, he got reelected.
I was too young. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And then once he got reelected, then he decided, okay, I will yield. And then I think it was Ford that came in after him and pardoned him. But because he had sense enough, to get out of there before they put the hammer to the nail, and he got out of there. See, Trump is not that smart. See, a lot of times they compare Trump to Nixon, but Nixon was, you got to say, was a lot smarter. People say that, well, if they convict Trump or something, then they will have to pardon him. No, there's no precedence for that. There's no president in precedence that tried to overthrow the United States and then decide to get a pardon. Oh, well, you're going to give me a pardon, right? I don't think so. I don't think that is something that would be, on the plate for him, and any president that would pardon him, I would have to say they're really going against the will of the people.
Well, it wouldn't be Biden.
Yeah.
He talks a good game, but.
Well, I think it's more so the office that he once held than the person. Because you all remember when President Obama was giving the State of the Nation, and one of the assholes that was in the gallery shouted out, "You're a liar." Mm-mm. You don't remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, that was State of the Union address when Representative Wilson.
Yeah,
shout out, you lie.
Man, they murdered that cat.
It wasn't as good as when Bush was talking and somebody threw a shoe at him. That was common.
That was overseas.
Yeah, Bush too can duck. He's had shoes on him before, man. That was from experience, man.
That was overseas.
That was good
And
stuff,
and,
though.
and they, when they reported that, they were saying when a person throws a shoe at you in that country, it was considered an insult.
You think?
Yeah, he had two
Yeah,
of them.
yeah. So, but yeah, when President Obama was giving the State of the Nation, and I promise you, the press murdered him, the Republican Party murdered him because they did not tolerate at that time disrespect of the president's office. And that's what it was all about. You may not like him as a black man, but he's the president. You cannot disrespect the president. Okay. And I think he wound up resigning, didn't he? You remember the aftermath, Chris?
Not too much. I just remember when it happened in real time. Again, it's like you're saying that this cannot be the universe that I'm a part of. It must be some bizarro stuff. To actually see a sitting representative stand up during a State of the Union address and say to the president, "You lie." Once again, Representative Joe Wilson. I believe he was out of let's see real quick. I believe he was out of South Carolina. So when you're looking, I mean, the thing about it is the overall goal, as you said before, you don't have to respect the person, but respect the office.
Exactly.
But then when the respect of the office is off the table, that's where you have these issues. And everybody,
what's the biggest disrespect to the office? Having Trump in it.
Well, and speaking of that, Trump never respected the office. Not at all. He didn't come in there to be a political figure. He came in there to be a businessman.
He just respected Putin.
And
Putin
to
is the
rape,
only thing he ever respected.
yeah, and rape and pillage this country as much as he could, and he obtained his goal. Because everything that and I'm gonna go to everything that Trump touched, turned to shit. Everything. Every business he's ever had, every school, he got sued for everything that he put his hands on. And when he got in as president, I said, I wonder how long is this going to take him to destroy the United States of America.
Oh, his reality shows did well, though.
No.
Can't say that about the reality shows.
And that's what he thought. And that's what he thought. He thought that because I'm popular with certain demographic, that I'm a success story. But he wasn't really all of that.
People believe their own hype.
Yeah, and that's what happened. His popularity, made him the tyrant that he is. Plain and simple.
Or maybe he was a tyrant before that. I tend to think that people don't really change. I think he was that way before. We just didn't get to see it because he wasn't in public office like that.
True.
Just personally. I don't really know because I didn't work for him. But I can just imagine in business, he's probably the same way he was in the White House.
I mentioned about Bizarro World. I always watch these superhero TV series. I watch Superman and Lois, right? And I watch The Boys on Prime Video, which is a takeoff.
Oh, great show.
Takeoff on the Justice League, right? So if you notice the parallel of, say, Homelander playing like an evil Superman character, so I'm not giving anything away. So he's like, there's a scene where Homelander takes out a civilian because he disagreed with him, lasered him, took his head off and everything else.
You talking about the very last episode? Very last episode?
Right. And
because,
the people
he threw something at his son. That's what it was. Remember?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Disrespected his kid.
And he took the guy out, and head popped and blew all over the place, and people applauded.
But they were shocked at first. They were like,
that was a moment in time. Right. They stopped.
And it was one. But you know what? That goes to show the psychology of mob behavior. Right. All it takes is one person in a mob to lead the mob to do things and think like they would never have done on their own. And that's exactly what happened in that particular scene, because everybody else was horrified at first until this one asshole gets up and says, yes, yes.
Yes, right.
Well, hold on a second. Yes, he just killed somebody in cold blood, and you're saying yes? And all these people join in because they're part of the mob. But this goes to tell you the psychology of mob behavior. they lose all sense and sensibilities, and they just go with the mob. Like the mob is like a big wave that just
Exactly.
pushes emotion over people and pushes them all. Like, you ever been at a concert or a club or wherever, and then all of a sudden people start pushing, and they
Yes.
push, and everybody just goes forward. You can't do anything about it. You just got to go with the crowd, and that's what happens.
And that's exactly my point. Is that you got ahead of me, but great start because that's Trump. So let's go back when Trump was running for the presidency. And he talked about grabbing by the pussy and everything else. And then you have people you should be shocked that moment when you're shocked by it, and then all of a sudden you have women coming forward saying you can grab mine. Yay! Everyone's starts to applaud and everything else. It's that same herd mentality you just talked about. Once you cross that threshold, and after the shock and awe wears off, everybody starts to embrace it.
Yeah,
y'all
remember the guy who was the whistleblower on that story?
On the Homelander story?
No, on the grabbing the pussy story.
No.
It was a Entertainment Tonight. I think it was Entertainment Tonight.
Billy Bush?
Billy Bush.
Yes.
Right.
He was a reporter that had his mic on when Trump was talking freely
Ironic.
about grabbing.
They were on the bus, right?
And,
George Bush's nephew. Ironic, right?
And was doing all those obscene things with with the models from the pageant. And you do realize they murdered that man's career because of that.
Yeah.
Okay. The aftermath that came down on him was totally, insane. Now, he was the one that revealed the nature and the character of this damn fool called Trump. And then they all came down on him, man. Everybody, like, how could you do that? You know what I mean? Like he did something wrong for revealing the character and the nature of a fiend like Trump. Crazy. That was crazy.
But people embraced it. Shout out to Honey Val Young. I don't know why his name won't pop up for some reason, but that's Val Young. How you doing, Val? Thank you for being here as always. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, what's up, Val? Yeah, I had that same problem when I'm on Facebook and trying to talk to somebody on StreamYard. It just doesn't act right. Don't know why.
But again, see that type of herd mom mentality, like Bucket just mentioned about being at a concert and one person pushes, everybody pushes. Nobody thinks. They don't think for themselves. They think as the herd thinks. So as soon as one person does it, everybody does it. So the shock value that Trump had or continued to have in the 4 years in office, for some people, is shocking. For a lot of people, it was applause and embracement.
But it tells you though that people aren't always in control. Believe it or not, are not always in control of their brains. For some reason, sometimes your brain just turn off. Like, for example, today I'm helping an ex with her computer. I help a lot of people with their computers. Okay, I helped Ron before. Remember Ron?
Yes, sir.
I was very patient. Ron's a lot more computer savvy than a lot of people, so Ron didn't count. But I was helping her with her computer. This is a doctor. She's a doctor. Okay, she's one of the smartest people that I know, and I sure hope she is not watching, so she couldn't have heard that. Okay, but when I was helping her with her computer, and every time I help her with her computer, her brain flies right out the window. And it's like her IQ drops down to 0. And I'm like, just plug it in. I mean, restart. I don't know what happens. And mind you, she's not the only one. There are a lot of people that I help when it comes to technology. Their brain turns off. They stop thinking. And I think that happens with people a lot more often than we think. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that because she's not dumb and she knows she's not dumb.
Right.
But people, like, there were probably a lot of smart, educated people out there on the Capitol steps that are, doing this what is obviously a stupid thing to do, but they're going with the mob. They're going with the flow. Some of them probably just went just to kind of be part of the action, not necessarily planning on storming the Capitol, but
No.
they get swept up. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing here. But
Yeah,
I'm guessing that
no.
a lot of people
There
get
have
swept
been
up.
testimony that was the reason and the purpose why they went there. Just on this week alone, all of the hate
Maybe,
groups. And
maybe.
yeah,
I'm just guessing. I'm just
yeah,
totally guessing.
yeah.
But I'm just saying, in terms of mob behavior,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that happens. That
Mhm.
they might have gone for whatever reason, and they end up getting swept up in the moment. And I don't. If it's okay, I'd like to bring up a topic. I know I didn't get a chance.
Sure, no, go ahead.
Today, so I didn't get a chance to let you know ahead of time. But what happens when a situation goes down that starts off really calm and then escalates? This is how things kind of escalate. This is kind of where I wanted to go with this. So I was watching a video of this incident that happened in Marietta here in Georgia last week. Video was floating around Facebook. You might have seen it. A lady and her husband are in IHOP, and they are eating. There's some sort of dispute over the bill or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, they're talking loud to each other. The waiter and maybe the manager comes out or whatever. I don't know. They didn't really get into that part. But all of a sudden, the cops get called, and the cops come. You know what happened? They ended up talking at first, calmly to the people. Now, as they continue talking, voices start raising. And Chris, your people are kind of loud anyway. And we just get louder and louder and louder. I'm one of the loudest people I know, so I can't talk either. But next thing you know, one of the all white cops, and both of the customers were black. And a black person, I think it's a white person filming, actually. Anyway, next thing you know, one of the white cops grabs the black guy and pushes him up against the wall to try to handcuff him. He didn't do anything. And wife starts getting hysterical, and she's basically trying to get her husband to calm down, but he ain't calming down with her yelling like that and going nuts like that. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, long story even longer, they end up, rushing him outside or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the point I wanted to bring up was not what we were talking about before. My point was, why couldn't everybody have just stayed calm? That's really especially the brother who they were talking to. Why did he have to start getting loud? And why did it have to escalate like that? Again, things snowball, and before you know it, now this was an 11, maybe 15-minute video. So this happened over, a certain amount of time. But when I was watching it, I was like, I was getting mad. And I couldn't unsee it. I was kind of mad at myself for watching it, because you don't usually watch those kind of videos. I was like, look how things snowball, because it started off so calm, and next thing you know, this brother's on the ground in handcuffs and fearing for his life, because who knows whether or not they were going to put a bullet in his brain and make up some excuse as to why. Oh, he had a gun. We thought he had a gun. He didn't have no gun. The wife was a business owner, had a business down the street. They were just ordering pancakes at IHOP. Why do things have to just get out of control like that? Why do people, first of all, here's a question for both of you gentlemen. Why, in a situation like that, does a brother like that get out of control? Why does he start yelling and talking loud to the cops and provoke? I'm not saying he provoked them, but surely if he had remained calm, why can't we remain calm in those situations? Surely if he had remained calm, he would not have been in handcuffs. It would not have been on the ground with his face down. Why?
Well, one reason is that we don't know the backstory of the person before they got to the restaurant.
Sure.
What kind of day they were having. The escalation could have started then, or the buildup could have started then, and the restaurant situation just got to a fever pitch. If the fever pitch started at the restaurant, then again, you're talking about trying to be communicative, trying to be heard, and you're not. And the more you repeat yourself and the louder you get, you think that that's a way of getting heard. It could be a deterrent because again, you're losing your cool. You're getting upset. Like you were watching the video yourself, Buck. You were getting upset watching the video as the escalation was happening. You were taking the ride with them, and then you had the police angle with it. I've seen all these videos over the years where police come over and whatever institutionalized racism they be a part of. I remember one time I was watching a video of these teenagers going back and forth, and it was a mixed race of teenagers, but the particular white one, he was the most instigator. He was pushing the most. He was hitting the most. He was doing the most work. And as soon as the cops came there, they arrested the black one. And so all that factoring in, I think at certain times it's hard to be calm and to be cool, collective, especially the fact that, again, you factor in everything I just mentioned. And not only that, I think just people just don't have the time to be patient at times.
Time?
The time to be patient. See, being patient is an investment, the way I look at it. You really have to be centered, clear, cut to the point, but other people just love escalation, or some people just love drama.
That's true.
And some people love the attention around them because now they're being heard, and now they're loud and boisterous and everything else. So all the things they talked about I believe are mixed in. When you factor in police, and you factor in the day the person was having, and you factor in the environment, and you factor in escalation. All those things are part of it because at the end of the proverbial day, as people say, hopefully there will be some resolution, some calmness, calm before the storm type of situation. And certain things just can't be helped because of the factors and people involved.
I was scared for the brother. I was like, I didn't know how the video was going to end. I thought it might have been. Now, of course, if he had died, had gotten shot and died on the news, you know what I mean? So I knew that that's not quite how it ended, but it was just. And now, mind you, I've been in situations where I've gotten a little bit out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't happen very often, but it's actually happened.
Yes.
And I look at myself later on and go, now, why did I do all that? Why did I have to show my ass?
I did an episode from the desk of Dr. Ron, and I talked about police brutality. And police brutality is something that has been around since the 50s and 60s, and it still exists today. And you can almost rest assured anytime that the police are called to any scenario or situation, if it's a black person or a person of color involved, they're going to escalate it. They're going to be to the point, they're going to say what it takes in order to be able to, use their police authority and abuse their police privilege.
Because of power?
Well, it's fear. Okay. Back in the 50s and 60s, if you ever watch a peaceful protest, you will see the police escalate and start putting water hoses on the crowd, sicking dogs, beating people that are there for a peaceful protest. I witnessed last week, they had a peaceful protest dealing with the police who fired 90 times and killed that young man with 60 bullets. And then they took and put handcuffs on that young man when he was already dead. They shot the boy in his feet. Okay. And the police fired that many times out of fear. And there was a peaceful protest going on in Akron, Ohio. And the police attacked, handcuffed people brutally. Folks, got the footage on their cell phone as they were trying to say, why are you arresting this person, while they're constantly beating them in their head while they're handcuffed. So the biggest thing is that police are fearful, and more afraid of black people than they are of any other, race of people. When they approach a black person, they automatically are on 10, because they feel like I need to, neutralize this person and get this person under control, under my control, because I'm afraid of him. Now, he could be standing there in a three-piece suit with a tie on, and talking, with very good mastery of the King's English, and that police will still approach that situation from a hostile scenario. Okay. And we have too many police across this country that approach scenarios and situations with that type of mentality.
You know what's sad is that you didn't even say whether or not the cops are white or black. I bet you a lot of black cops do the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I said this many times on this show, when I'm on my soapbox campaigning for, rehabilitating the justice system. If we've got, and I'm just throwing a number out there so you don't have to fact check me, Buck. If we've got 5,000 police forces in the United States, there you go. If we've got 5,000 police forces across this country in the United States, and there's probably more, you've got 5,000 different training to make these 5,000 police forces police. And there's no uniformity in the training. So the system needs to be unified. If you're in California or you're in New York, you all need to be approaching the scenario and the situation the exact same way. You should not be approaching the situation with hostility and fear and anger. When you approach that scenario, you need to look at it like the Constitution for most folks says you're innocent until proven guilty.
That's a lie. But
yes, it is. But so when you approach a person and you're of the mindset he did something and I'm gonna apprehend him and I'm gonna screw him up in the process. I'm gonna jack him up. And there have been millions of dollars of settlement cases across this country by cities had to pay out for abuse by a police officer or several police officers. So go ahead, Buck Wheezy.
My question was, because you're the only one on this panel that I know of that's been a cop before. I always wondered, for a black man, whatever makes a black man want to become a cop?
Well,
other than needing a job.
Yeah, at the time I didn't have a record, so it was easy to get that job. And I liked guns. Okay, so that was my thing. I enjoyed guns, so I needed to have a job that allowed me to be able to have guns because I enjoyed them. So
why did you enjoy them?
Well, let me finish. So when I went through the training, they tell you things in that training that by any means necessary, you never want to leave anybody alive to testify against you.
You got to be joking.
I would not lie to you, brother. I'm famous for a lot of things, but not lying. Okay. They tell you that even if you make a mistake, you don't want to be the person that they're testifying against or on. They teach you that, They teach you, back in those days, because that was a long time ago, that even if you accidentally shoot somebody for pulling out a comb out of his back pocket, you carry a gun to drop. Okay. You got to throw away when you close your mouth, Buck.
I've never heard that before, Ron. Seriously.
I'm telling you the truth, man. I'm telling you the truth. These are the kind of things that they say, and abuse of police power has been escalated and out of control for a very long time. for a long time. Okay.
Do you realize what you just said?
I know exactly what I said.
Don't leave anyone alive to testify against you. That's one of the most horrifying things I've ever heard.
But it's the truth, Buck. You know, that's what they are taught in the academy. Okay, before they even hit the street. Okay.
Damn.
Yeah. So, you know, and you wonder why they got bad attitudes and they go out there with a chip on their shoulder, you know, because they have been empowered to do something that they feel like they can get away with.
Which
You
is
know,
unthinkable.
well, it's reality. You know, this is what goes on, you know,
I mean, it
when
makes sense. It
you
totally
know,
makes sense.
and I'm gonna turn back the hands of time again. When you look at what took place in the 50s and 60s, when the police were out of control with police brutality, like I mentioned a little while ago, the community rose up and started shooting them, just like we have now in certain communities. You know, there were cops that wound up dead. Okay, because some cops really thought they were above the law and they thought they were God. You know, they were, police and executioner. They can kill who they want to kill. You know, we have so many cases of cops that have done things for so many decades and got away with it. You think about that cop that killed George Floyd, who publicly sat on that man's neck until he was dead. He's done that before. He did that with confidence. He's done that like, oh yeah, this is familiar territory with me.
And nobody stopped him.
And you rookies that are on the beat, this is how you kill a nigga. Hello, I said the N-word. Okay. I'm gonna show y'all how to do it and get away with it. Okay. You know, but in this particular scenario, because people had cameras and they saw what happened, and they could not side with him on what he was doing, but he's one of thousands that exist on police force from coast to coast, top to bottom.
Speaking of which, you just brought me to another quick point. Did you see? Was it Arizona? Or which state was it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Chris, was it Arizona that said they just passed a law that said you can't film a cop if he tells you to get back? You got to put your camera away because they don't want you filming cops anymore. Which one was that? Was that Arizona?
I think I had to go back and do my fact check like you do. I had to go back and check.
I think it was Arizona. It said, okay, yeah. If a cop tells you to get back, you can't be filming him within a certain distance. Like, really? So you don't want nobody filming the cops anymore so they can go back to the old days when they get away with anything?
Okay, come on, man. Look, police brutality really started getting exposed with Rodney King. Come on, let's go there.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay. You know, there was a camera rolling the whole time while what, 6 cops was beating an innocent man laying on the ground.
Video camera, right?
Okay, and they got off.
Did they get off? I don't remember.
Yes, not one of those cops served time.
Damn, I didn't even remember that. Wow.
Yeah, you know, and you you know, when you look at the New York cops who choked a man to death on the streets of New York for selling loose squares.
Eric Gardner.
Yep. And then threw the man in the back of the paddy wagon after they had snapped his neck. Okay. There have been many states, cities, I might be overreaching by saying states, but at least cities that have put laws into place that the police are not allowed to choke anybody out anymore.
Oh, and another thing you said just a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is really, really poignant. What if 20, 30 years down the line, it gets to the point that you know how we can't find workers to do hardly anything nowadays? What if you can't find cops because every time a cop goes out, he gets into a shootout?
Well,
because I mean, think about that. Can you imagine with all these guns, with all these states adopting these open carry laws? What if every time a cop goes out and he tells somebody something, that somebody shoots him? What if it gets to that point
Yeah.
where cops, it's not safe to be a cop
Let me
anymore?
hurry up and add to that statement, Buck.
Okay.
You know, open carry in all these states, they're allowed to allow Europeans and white folks to carry guns. Okay, if you're a black person, you know they're gonna challenge you with their gun.
I don't think that the law says that if you're white, you can
Okay,
carry it, but
once
if you're
again, you
black,
talking
you
about what the
can't.
law says. I'm talking about the mentality of the police. Okay, case in point, here we go. In Chicago, either a year or 2 years ago, they had a young man that came to Chicago from, I want to say, Indianapolis or something like that. He was in a funeral procession. He came to Chicago to bury a relative. The cops confronted him while he was in that funeral procession because his car was stopped in front of a fire station, I believe it was. And they confronted him. Now, he told the police, I have a gun in the car. Okay. The police opened fire and killed that man.
For what?
By the way, he was a black man.
What?
Yes, sir.
And why did they kill him?
Whatever the
I don't understand.
confrontation that led up to them having words or whatever, when he explained to them that, yes, I have, a weapon in my car, he disclosed it to them. And they took that as a threat, I guess. I'm not sure. I wasn't there, but they killed that young man.
See, that goes back to what I was saying initially. Somehow, I have a hard time believing that cops just go around town and say, "Oh, who we gonna kill today?" You don't be going around just looking to try to kill people. Sometimes I think, and maybe it's just me, because if I ever get stopped by a cop, I go step and fetch it quick, fast, in a hurry. Yes, sir. What can I do for you today? I'm
But
trying to live.
but that is a mechanism to survive that scenario.
Why don't everybody do that? Do
Okay.
that. It's
Now
okay.
that's $1 million question, because some people, are under the misimpression that the Constitution allows them to have rights, privileges, and benefits that they don't have.
I'm about to say,
See?
what privileges? I don't care. I
Okay.
care about living.
Okay.
Forget a privilege.
Because like you asked the question about open carry. Open carry don't apply to us, bro. If we are seen with a weapon, we're going to be approached like we're a criminal.
Well, we'll see.
And then
Now
if
that
you
goes-
survive that incident, it'll be a miracle.
Well, or it depends on how you react when the cop does approach. If you start raising your voice and what you stopping me for, officer? And you got this look on your face like you ready to shoot him, it might not end so well.
True, but there's also been situations when people have been calm and still got shot to death.
Yes.
Probably.
Philando Castile.
Mhm.
I mean, he's in the car. He was very calm. His girlfriend recorded the whole thing.
Yes.
He went for his, gun permit to show the cop, and the cop unloaded his clip into the man.
And yep, with the baby in the back seat.
Yes.
And she was videotaping the whole thing.
I remember watching real time on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Someone put on my page like, "Base, check this out." It was in real time,
Right.
and you saw the whole thing. This is before, unfortunately, he got shot. He's trying to say, "Look, I'm going for my gun permit," and the cop freaked and unloaded his whole clip into the man.
Because cops don't have uniform training from coast to coast. Okay. And their fear, a man afraid with a loaded gun is going to respond and act because I want to get home to my family tonight. Okay. And that's the premise and the basis in which they act the way they act. And then they get the police union to come out there and represent them. Oh, he was just doing his job and everything is fine. It's a clean shooting. Okay.
Boy, there's
It's
got to be an easier way, a better way to earn a living. I
but I'm telling you, it's a sick mentality. We have institutionalized racism in not only everything, but also in law enforcement, because it's not fair. A case in point, there's a documentary called Burn Motherfucker Burn, and it deals with all the burnings and shootings that happened in California during the the Watts riots, and then the forward into the Rodney King riots. So they're going back into the 40s and 50s. The then LA police chief, Chief Yorty, purposely established a pipeline to bring in Southern white cops to LA to purposely beat niggers. That was documented.
Yep.
To beat and kill them.
Yep.
wow.
So it
Speaking
goes
of
back.
that,
Sure, go ahead.
I have a question. Again, back to you, Ron, because you've only one been a cop. Do they have racism? And I would just I know the answer's got to be yes. Got to be yes. Do they have racism on the force? Like, are cops racist against other cops within the force? Do they like haze each other and with N-word jokes and all that?
Well, I'm gonna say it like this. There have been cases of that where, in order to fit in, you go along with the good old boys. Okay. Because if you don't fit in, you cannot expect to go on the street, answer a call, and expect this white man to back you up in a violent situation if you ain't one of their good old boys. Okay. They have and I'm going to use, fiction and reality all together because it's so real. They have an episode that's filmed in Chicago that deals with the special unit in the Chicago Police Department. And the one black guy was friends with a white cop, and they were responding to a call where they were chasing a perpetrator that had a weapon. Then mysteriously, the white guy disappeared. Now the black guy had to shoot and kill this perpetrator, and then he asked the guy, "Well, where were you at, man? Why weren't you in the firefight with me?" And then he lied and said, "Well, I went into this other room and I didn't get there in time." Well, when they were interviewing all the people that was on the scene, they said there was no other rooms that were open. He should have been there. He was hiding somewhere. So there are cops that don't have your back on the job, period.
Right.
And if you get involved in a firefight, you better have, somebody next to you, beside you, or behind you that's got your back.
Cover you. Right.
Yep. Case in point, just taking it back a little bit, they had the same instances of situations in Vietnam when they used to put white officers straight out of the academy over platoons of black dudes and then send them out there to get killed, and whoever the surviving members of that black platoon is, all of a sudden, that commanding officer gets killed by friendly fire. That's what they used to call it back in the day. Friendly fire. Oh, I was cleaning my gun and it went off, but it's because, when you have bad leadership, period. Okay. Bad leadership can get you killed and everybody around you. Okay. So the system in the police department has been the system for so long. Cops have been on the take. Cops have been in bed with criminals. Cops have been just as bad as the criminals. Okay. And when you got somebody that comes along that feels like they want to do the job right, he becomes a target.
Facebook user. Can you put that Facebook user up who said, "Buck Wheezy, why we got to go step and fetch it"? Because I want to live. That's why we got to do that. That's why I do it. I want to live. Okay, so I'm already nervous. The cop comes up to me. Like one time I was driving. I still have it. I just don't drive it very often. But I have a really nice car, and I was driving through this neighborhood with my top down, and a cop pulls me over, and I was like, "Why is he pulling me over?" Really didn't have any reason to pull me over. He made up some BS why he pulled me over or whatever. But I can tell you, every time I get pulled over, I'm super scared. Because I don't know what first of all, I don't know if I might have done something wrong. I might end up in jail that night. I might end up dead that night. So I am going to be as step and fetch it as I possibly can to make sure that my heart continues to beat after that cop leaves me and I can go home to my girlfriend or whoever I got at home waiting on me. That's why we need to go step and fetch it when we get stopped.
But everybody's not going to share that view and opinion. But
true, but everybody does obviously don't want to live as much as I do.
Some people feel like they should be treated with respect and give just as much respect as they're being treated with.
It's gonna be 15 minutes. You can go step and you can
maybe
not be treated with respect for 15 minutes, then go on home.
Because if you got a cop that's jealous of your vehicle and he wants to make your life miserable, he's gonna do everything in his possible to do that, in his ability to do that. Even to the point, now here you go, crooked cops will drop drugs on you. And then you steadily standing up there talking about that ain't mine. I don't know where that came from, but your butt's on your way to jail and your car's being towed. You see what I'm saying? So there are just as many bad stories on innocent people than you can imagine, Buck. I mean, it's reality.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And I agree. Yeah, but some people, like you say, they just want to go home to their family too.
Yeah. But you know what though, Ron? Maybe I just watch too much TV or too many movies, but I don't think that sort of thing just happens to black folks.
You don't believe what?
That sort of thing only happens to black folks. With the cop being jealous and dropping drugs in the car to be able to arrest you.
Okay, but in a scenario, and it does happen to white kids as well,
or Mexicans,
or Mexicans,
Latinos,
exactly.
Yeah.
But they target people. Okay, they target people. Like if they work a beat,
I don't know.
Well, if they work a beat, if they just you live in Georgia. If you got cops up and down your street all the time, they know who they want to get and who they don't want to get. And if they can't catch them dirty, guess what? They'll make them dirty.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. I
don't know about your way, Buck. I understand for some people in your category, they have to.
Yeah. Well,
look, we all got pulled over at one point. I remember I got off my radio shift. I was working 6 p.m. to midnight. Got off at midnight. There used to be a 24-hour store about 4 blocks away from my home. It was the wintertime. I go to the store. I get pulled over because my left tail light was out. And the cop had accused me of being a drug dealer. Now, prior to me coming to the store, I used to cash my check at the point of a 24-hour currency exchange. So I get off of work at midnight, get to the currency exchange by 12:30 a.m. Nobody in there, cash my check. I go to the store, get some groceries. I got pulled over. I'm trying to show the officer my check stub and my receipt from the currency exchange. He looked in my direction at all. Accused me of being a drug dealer because I have money in my pocket. Dude, I am driving.
And of course you look like a drug dealer, so of course.
Dude, I'm driving a 1984 Oldsmobile Forenza. What drug dealer drives that?
The ones who don't want to be too flashy because they don't want to get caught.
Well, but true. But now the real drug dealers were driving past, while I'm getting pulled over, and so
Laughing.
I mean, look, they were like, and look,
look at that
I got pulled over a block away from my house. Either drug dealer was like, "Hey man, don't pull him over, man." I'm telling you, it was ridiculous. But when cops have an agenda, not all, but the ones that do, when they have an agenda, they don't care. They took me to the precinct. They told me, I'm a drug dealer. We're gonna sell this in court. We gotta get your court date and everything else. So they took me from my car, took me to the precinct. My mom had to pick me up. I had one phone call. They didn't put me in the lockup. They put me outside, where the desk was. You got one phone call, and that's it. I was like, "You put me in the lockup?" No, we just wanted to make this official. And then I saw cops there, Buck. There was a drunk that was over on the side of the desk, and they're and they're throwing paper clips at him and making fun of him and everything else. This is our elected police officer I'm talking about here that we pay their salaries for.
Was this in Chicago, in the city of Chicago?
Yes, sir.
On the south side?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, wow.
Yes, sir. There you go. And so even the cop told me that he was going to give himself a new microwave oven based upon the tickets he was going to give me. He had no shame in his game.
Yeah, because they have what are it, quotas.
Quotas, exactly right. So
But, it's interesting though. You ever think about how like the R. Kelly thing, right? Remember when he was on Gayle King interview?
Yeah, and he
was jumping
blew
up
up
and down. Yeah, he blew up. He was jumping up and down, almost crying. Well, maybe he was crying, talking about, "I'm innocent. This is my life you're talking about, boy." People who do that are probably lying.
Yes.
You ever think about how, if in your situation, now, again, I wasn't in that situation, so I don't really know, but you weren't a drug dealer, right? So
no, of course not.
You could be calm, cool, and collected. Okay, well, I know I'm not a drug dealer. You guys know I'm not a drug dealer. So you can do whatever you want, but you know good and well it ain't going to stick because I'm not a drug dealer. I don't even know what it would be like to be a drug dealer or how to be a drug dealer. So, okay.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, we got to get this nigger somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And once again, I'm working with the authorities. As a matter of fact, to tell the whole story, 2 weeks prior to that incident with me, there's an article in the Chicago Sun-Times about certain black citizens who were picked up by white officers and disappeared. Wow. So I thought I was not going to return. Right. I'm back in the squad car. I'm like, this could be the end of my life. I'm 22 years old.
Now, was that the time you were working at that white state in a white town?
This was working at WBEE in Harvey.
Okay, so now to make
where what was that?
It's Harvey is a south suburb of Chicago.
Right. Okay. To go full transparency about the scenario, so you can understand it even better. Harvey at the time was at least 60 to 75% white population.
Okay.
During that era. Okay. So when they see a black person driving or riding, whatever he's doing, they want to question you.
I can see that.
I can remember the time we used to go from Harvey to Chicago Heights, and we had to pass through several, suburban communities that made it their business to stop a car full of black people riding through their town. It didn't make no difference what you was doing. Those type of mentalities existed during the 70s.
Well, and also too, smaller towns stop everybody come through, or try to stop everybody come through so they can get more tickets because they depend on that revenue.
Well, that's part of it too. But they would tell you, don't let me catch you coming through this neighborhood again.
Right, exactly, because they stop just about everybody. They got to give tickets, a certain many tickets.
And they sitting there hiding places. And at that time, the interstates didn't go as far as they go now. So you didn't have no choice but to go through some of those, highways that went that way. And they, I don't think it was just about the revenue. You know, I think it was just about the fact driving while black. That is a legitimate crime in this country.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, all that being said, you know, like I started this conversation off, we need to make uniform justice training from coast to coast. That would be something that we don't have to hear about stories where a young man got shot 60 times, you know, because the officers had fear of a boy running away from them, and they didn't have the technology or the confidence or any of the self-control to stop him, because he could have went, you know, they could have stopped him and he could have been standing trial alive. You know, this Highland Park European that they stopped and took into custody, he didn't get a scratch on him, you know. And that boy in Buffalo didn't get a scratch on him. Now these people kill folks. Go ahead, Buck.
Okay. I know I'm kind of all over the place today, Chris, but it's probably because of this really good ass wine that I've been drinking. It's really good too. But I have a question. Somebody sent me something today disturbing, and I want to tell you about it. But how likely? Oh, Professor!
Professor,
Oh.
what's up, sir?
Professor.
How
Don't
y'all?
look, don't change it. Don't change the subject now. I got my militant brother in the house.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord, what? I'm not. Oh, here we go.
Okay, so I was just about to introduce a really interesting subject, Professor, and I really can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. But somebody sent me a pretty disturbing article today on. It wasn't really an article; it was on Facebook. But question is, how likely is it that a man can get sexually harassed on a job by another man?
Oh Lord.
Okay, so I'll try to make this story fairly brief, but I went for a job in this particular city that I have got family in, so I thought it would be it's kind of a small town, but I thought it would be kind of cool. I'd be perfect for the job. It was kind of a station that I thought I'd fit in really well at, and my skill set really would fit in there. And I didn't get the job. It's okay. The guy they did hire, though, ironically, from you guys' city, but
I know exactly who you're talking about. Continue.
okay, so he goes into work and he writes his article on Facebook describing exactly what happened because he just got fired, right?
Right.
And he said, I didn't know how widely known this was. Funny you say this, Chris, that you know about it. But he goes to work and his boss tells him he's doing great on the air, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, he beat me out for the gig. I'm not mad because maybe I shouldn't have been there anyway. Now I'm kind of glad that I didn't get the job because turns out this one particular evening, boss says, "Oh, you did a great show, whatever, blah, blah, blah." So dude goes in the bathroom. And the boss comes in the bathroom. This is what he said on Facebook. So this is his side of the story only. I don't know how true any of it is, but he says the boss kind of pins him up against the wall and starts to fumble with his pants like he was getting ready to expose himself. And he was like, "Well, let me get the hell out of here." So he escapes out of there and kind of runs out the door, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And according to his story. So he's like, maybe I should tell somebody about this because this is kind of weird. He's only been there 6 months. So he goes in the station the next morning. This is in radio. Goes to the station the next morning, and all these people are meeting. And they say, "Come in here," and they fire him on the spot. He's like, "What the?" Before he has a chance to tell anybody, right? Mm-hmm. So so he didn't get a chance to tell his side of any kind of story. They used some other excuse about why they fired him, right? But he hadn't gotten a chance to say, hey, last night I felt like I was being sexually harassed by my boss. How often, how believable is that? I mean, I was reading this with my mouth hanging open. I'm like,
So what was the boss a male or a female?
male,
So guy on guy.
guy on guy. How often does that happen? And is that believable?
It probably
I'm
happens a
asking.
lot. It probably happens a lot more than we want to buy into. I think it happens all the time. If it happens with women, it happens with men too. But I think what happens in other articles I read, when men would go to the authorities and the police departments and try to relate their stories, they're laughed out the precinct. It's like, oh man, get out of here, man! Ain't no woman gonna touch you, or no man gonna touch you, and that peer pressure thing. Not saying all do it. I was reading an article about how it should be taken seriously on both sides, whether it's male or female. But because we usually, society-wise, look at the female side, and now it happens to men, because men's be more strong and masculine, and you take care of yourself, doesn't happen to you. But harassment is harassment, no matter what side of the sex aisle you belong to.
I'm telling you, I was thinking, of course, being a man, I'm thinking, well, if it had been a female boss, maybe he might have been like, all right, I'm about it. I'm just saying,
Well, I'm gonna give you my humble opinion. I'd have knocked the fuck out of him. Motherfucker come at me like that in the bathroom.
It's your boss, though, Ron.
I wouldn't give a fuck who he was. If he sexually tries to make an advance for me, he getting the shit knocked out of him. All right.
Like,
plain
wow.
and simple. That's it. That's all. He going to the flow, and I'm gonna be doing one of them stomp kicks on his ass, like, motherfucker, grab this. You made me go there, Buck. Okay, it's your fault.
Bro, I'm just saying.
Hey,
it's like,
and I wouldn't have to be worried about being the topic of the meeting next morning, because I wouldn't have came back in no more.
I was just like,
I'm like, man, you and the horse you rode in on, dude. Forget you. I'm not doing it.
Hey, that's the thing that we all think. Okay, if something like that happened to me, it's like, bam. But I mean, really, to really be in that situation, wouldn't we all be a little freaked out first? I mean, I don't know.
Nah, man, defense mechanism. Okay, I'm not gonna be freaked out about no man trying to hit on me, but to put his hands on me, no, it ain't happening. I'm finna defend myself. You think about, okay, people that are put in involuntary situations like that. Okay, they go to prison. They fighting for their derriere. They ain't trying to get their ass up without a fight.
Right.
Okay. So you on the street, okay, you going to take a piss, and some dude comes in talking about it's my turn. It ain't fitting happen.
But you know what, though? It really makes you think about all the women that get sexually harassed and get put in those situations. And that has been happening like since the beginning of time. It's like,
and some women have learned to defend themselves. They defend themselves too.
Of course. But I'm saying,
you run up on the right chick, you're gonna get castrated.
Oh yeah. But it's just like,
if you're a dude, and if you're a female, you probably gonna get busted in the head with a something.
It's like, have they been going through this all this time? It's like, it really puts it in perspective. Like, wow.
I
don't know what the
hell. It takes all kind to make up this strange world that we live in. So, you gotta, like they say in Chicago, you gotta have your head on a swivel all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Always looking around.
Yeah. You can't take nothing for granted. Nothing. Okay. When you come out of your house, you better be prepared to defend yourself for all hurt, harm, and danger. Okay, tuck and roll, whatever it takes. because it's always something out there that can challenge you. Okay, always. And you have to be prepared for whatever challenges that may come your way. I teach my kids that, male and female, so, you want to arm your children or nieces and nephews with information. Like, don't be getting drunk someplace where you don't know the people there. You might wake up with a wet ass. Now what? You don't even know who did it.
Wet ass.
Hey, that's the truth. When you're talking to a young person, you gotta be graphic like that, because you don't want them to take anything for granted. Okay.
What do you think, Professor?
Oh, what about what happened?
What do you think?
Nothing.
Nothing? No opinion?
As James Brown once said, what it is what it is. Is it, if it's possible under this environment, the way things is, with everything goes, it's plausible. I could deal with it. Everything goes now. There's no straight way. There's no more black and white. Everything is color. Some of it is technicolor now. You understand? Where when people doing wrong things and you got people justifying it being right. So that's par for the course. Now this individual, I know him. He's one of mine.
Oh wow.
Small world.
Yeah.
And now, had it been me up under that, I'd have called the feds before I left the job. I'd have called the feds right away, because he did not retaliate, but I'd have put the feds on notice right away. I'd have brought the feds in right away. That's Title IX, man. That's government stuff. That's Title IX. That's the big time. And so the employer, they had no other choice but to do that. You understand? They had no choice but to do that because this cat, did what he did. And if they're gonna take the cat that's running it, and just kick the other guy to the curb. What kind of contract did he sign? And all this kind of stuff. Was it what they call it, at will contract? What kind of contract did he sign for radio? What did he have? So we don't know any of that. But had it been me, I'd have called somebody right before I left that job. Somebody would have gotten called at the end of the encounter. I'd have been cool. I'd have smiled about it, and I'd have got on the phone, some hotline somewhere on sexual harassment, and I'd have put that down. And then now that I got that put down, I'm gonna raise all kinds of holy sand, So, because you got to put that evidence. Not evidence. You got to immediately when something happens, like you gotta boom, say it happened. You can't wait. Because then you're giving people time to, build up their lives, their fortunes, get behind their wall.
Right. And that's what I was thinking. So is it his word against his word?
It doesn't make any difference with that harassment. They couldn't prove it, but they didn't want it. Right. It couldn't be proven, but then again, why did they just fire him right away? You understand? Right. Because they didn't want to be bothered with that.
Well, there was a bunch of, I guess, lies. He said it was a bunch of lies they came up with or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know.
That's what he's supposed to say, but that's exactly what they're supposed to say. That's not a problem. But in the case that, you're getting harassed, you need to get the feds. You need to get the Title IX. You need to get that right away. Don't waste no time. Get that on record. Call somebody on some kind of harassment. Is there a sexual harassment hotline? I believe there is. Call that number.
Yeah.
Call that
But
number.
do we
and
even think about that sort of thing? We don't even think
it
about that
doesn't
sort of thing.
listen. If he had enough sense not to do like Dr. Ron, and I'm gonna be ugly, I'm gonna be a nigga just for a minute and whoop his ass, you understand? I had to call the Fed. So he was cool and calm enough not to whoop his ass.
No.
You know, because we'd have been humbugging. Boom, bam,
Yeah,
bam.
right.
You know,
Because guess what? But that's evidence. Why was you humbugging? Because
Right.
he came at me.
Right. I'd have fired on him quick. I don't even think I'd have been able to stop my hand. God, you know, it just went. So if you thinking about being cool and being a bigger man, then you needed to add a step to that and then call the government.
Yeah.
Or call some kind of hotline.
Yeah.
So to put them on notice. Because from what I'm hearing, they trying to stop his money and all that kind of stuff. So they trying to protect themselves from a lawsuit.
Yep.
And
So
and that's what they're doing. And like Professor, I know the guy too. He's a good friend of mine. I've done radio programs with him. We go way back. So when I read about that, first of all, it was what I call manifestos. It's like you're gonna be there for a while. You're gonna grow some chin on your hair. There's gonna be a lot of paragraphs, a lot of storyline that you're gonna read. So there was 3 that he did, and the third one was about the sexual harassment one. Because the first 2 was about getting fired and quitting radio, and then he went from his other employments about outing other employers that had treated him wrong, and then the last one was about the sexual harassment. I would have done it differently. I would go back to what Professor said. I would have, started documentation again, to the government. Again, getting lawyers and things of that nature. So that way, by the time I'm going to present this, once again, it's like the whole adage: you got to get in front of it. Now he is in front of it, but again, what's the back story behind it? Does he have lawyers? Does he have representation to go forward with a lawsuit? Because as the professor just said earlier about the radio station, the PD. Got to get your lie right. Got to get your storyline right.
And he may not have the money to lawyer up like that.
Exactly, right. So it could be pro bono or just exposure. The guy you're talking about is doing a news story there in Kansas City, the local newscast. They're going to feature a story about him and the sexual harassment. So he's getting in front of it. I just hope that the behind-the-scenes stuff is solid as well, not just the getting in front in public.
I got a question on this story. I don't know, you all might not be able to answer this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Generally, when you have a aggressive person like that going after someone, this is not his first incident. This is not his first time doing it. Are there other people in that workplace that have come forward and said, yes, I'm a victim as well? Or does anybody know?
According to his Facebook story, he said there's a lot of people who have said that they've experienced some things with this particular boss.
Yeah, because it's not a one and done deal. Because usually guys that are sick like that, they have confidence or conquest that they've accomplished over a period of time, and they've had success stories, and they just keep on doing it because nobody has ever checked them and stopped them dead.
Yeah, they don't think they can get caught, right?
Right, and because he's in a position of power, so people fear and intimidated, by the job that they have, and he goes on this reign of terror and terrorizing people. So the fact that there are other people, or possibly other people, that are willing to come forward to end this, it's gonna cost them some money.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I didn't get that job.
Yeah, it's gonna cost them some money. Well, Buck, you did the step and fetch it thing and probably did it, but you set yourself up for that one.
I'm like, what? Me? Apparently, I wasn't his type. That's why I didn't get the job.
I ain't gonna say, because both of y'all, I ain't gonna say. I'm gonna leave that one there.
But yeah, I would hope, just speaking, positively on the scenario, that the person who started this whole mess gets his comeuppance, as they used to say back in the day. What's done in the dark will always come out to the light, and he will wind up being exposed, for the person that he is. And I'm hoping that there's other people that will be rewarded financially, for their discomfort and their anguish that they have suffered in silence, because of fear of the job or position that they had.
I just think it's just odd. I mean, maybe it's because it's a smaller town. Maybe the gay population there is not as big, and maybe he felt like he didn't have as many options. I'm totally guessing here, but it's like,
Yeah.
so why are you going to harass somebody at the job who is not gay?
Well,
What,
that
you
was
gonna
his
turn him or something?
that was his safe zone, because he had done it and got away with it before. That's
But I
it.
mean, what's the appeal?
I'm gonna say it again. That was his safe zone. That was where he had done it and got away with it before. So he stayed within his safe zone.
So didn't he? So didn't he say, or wasn't it said? Well, I brought you here.
Right, I read that.
Yeah. So that was the you owe me type of thing. Come on, man. Right then and there. Then I brought you here. Bam!
Right. Man, he was gonna have to take a couple, boy.
Bam! I brought you. Yeah, well, take this. Bam! You'd got it. You'd got hit.
Yep.
And then I'd have went directly to the phone.
Right.
Call 911. I've been harassed. Whatever it is.
Look, I'd have called an ambulance for him. I'm a nice guy. I'm gonna be a nice
sweet
guy.
of you. How sweet.
Yeah, I'm gonna call an ambulance to help him. Look,
this dude came in the bathroom and he trying to tell me that he doing what he doing, and then he wants to tell me that he brought me here as if to put that type of pressure on me. I'm gonna give him that pressure. Bam!
When you go to jail, brother, when you go to jail, you just got to think of a jail mentality. Okay, I'm just gonna take it off the street and put it in jail. A dude come up to you telling you, I know y'all done seen the penitentiary movies. When them dudes approach you talking about, you better sit down and pee when I talk to you, and you just gonna fight. It's an instinct. A man is gonna fight when challenged. Period. All right. Now he might not win the fight, but he going for it. He gonna give it all he got.
Yeah. It's just, what? It's just I brought it all up to say,
Bam!
You never. I like a very stress-free life. You know what I mean? I mean, that brother had no idea what was gonna go down when he took that job. That 6 months later he'd be in this kind of situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like,
but as far as our industry is concerned, there's some things that it's been some crazy stuff now.
Yeah.
It's been some crazy stuff. This ain't well, it could be like the legendary porn flick Behind the Green Door. It's some crazy stuff that's going on around here, man.
Chris, now who you gonna blame for that one?
I had to share with the audience real quick when Ron and I were in the green room pregame, and one of the further topics I'll get into to share with everybody in the panel, we're talking about movies, and Dr. Ron mentioned about, well, yeah, a movie I could probably mention would be Debbie Does Dallas. I said, no, not that type of movie.
Yeah.
And I already know where mom, and then you go with the Behind the Green Door, right?
Yeah, go with Marilyn Chambers Behind the Green. Yeah, all right. Man, so in other words, the stuff be in the ethers, man, and it just circulates. Right. Yeah, all right, I got it. But yeah, no, man, that's radio ain't been. I don't know why we sitting up here thinking that radio is squeaky clean or anything like that. That's like one of the first things I tell my students. You know, when they get the job, you know, when something comes down, you gotta look at the people that's hiring you, you know, and ask what do this person want from you.
Mm.
You know, you gotta lay that stuff out.
Yes.
And you gotta really think about that stuff. And then you gotta decide whether you wanna pay the piper. You know, you gotta decide that, because that's all on you. Because there's been so many people in this industry that has been exploited. They've been exploited.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just out there like that. But you can take it in radio, you can take it to TV, you can take it to movies, you could go anywhere. Listen, women love to, you know, they love men with money, and men love to spend that money on women who want to take it.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's, you know, that's
And see, some people,
for the reward.
yeah, and some people don't know because, like you said, it was, you know, kind of hidden from the main public, you know, and all of us have got a history in dealing with radio stations or industry. You know, you used to be able to go to any radio station and secretary be fine as hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back in the day.
And she would get promoted mysteriously. Okay. You know, and then you would find out, like A&R record people used to send some of the finest women, you know, to drop off product all of a sudden, you know.
that record gonna get played and all.
Exactly. So, you know, it's all kind of stories that have been, you know, hidden from the public, but they just as real.
Man, that's how they got Elliot Spitzer, man. Y'all know who Elliot Spitzer is, right?
Yeah, do we?
Yeah, that's how they got Spitzer, man. When Spitzer was raising all that saying about payola,
Mm-hmm.
they sent him a $10,000 woman who was fine, and they set
This
him
was
up.
after the payola thing, though. This is when he had was the attorney general, and he was trying to crack down on prostitution, and that's when they sent him
Whatever it
sample of the
was,
product,
they
right.
sent a woman on him. Whatever it was, they
So
sent a
maybe you
woman
need to
on him.
sample the product. Before
Yeah,
you
whatever
make
it
a
was.
decision.
They took him down, because
Sample the
he
product.
was going to get paid back, because the settlement they split up that money and they said nothing. It was in secret.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know them guys. They say, "Well, look, we got to do something about Spitzer." Yeah, what you gonna do? I'll tell you what. We'll send somebody on him. And they put somebody on it.
Did you see the woman they sent?
Bro, whatever it was, but I knew that's how they was gonna get him. And so after he got wiped out and got caught up on that, all the payola, everything that was happening going after radio, trying to straighten radio out, died. It died.
Yeah.
It died. There was no more going after anything in radio, and it died. Nothing happened.
Well, Elliot Spitzer, it wouldn't surprise me. The code name for the investigation and execution was called Sunshine.
No, not Harlem Nights. Don't tell me that. Don't bring that on me, baby.
Code name Sunshine. Yeah, throw up in the air. Turn to sunshine. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Man changed
Richie.
God.
Oh, Richie,
Yeah.
I think I'm falling in love with you.
I love that scene, man. My man was like, "Hey, let me get Hollycore 21122."
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, baby? It's your father. Put your mother on the phone.
I ain't never coming over.
Hey, look here. I ain't never coming back. Take it easy.
Yeah. That's it.
Oh,
That's all.
Richie.
And hung up the phone, and then he wiped that one tear
That
from
one
his eye.
yeah.
Now you know that was. Now listen. Now you know when a woman put it on you so tough that you got one tear coming out your eye, you've been hit. This girl done hit you,
Look.
boy.
It's gonna lead to
Richie.
It's gonna lead to my next topic, talking about movies. But when Red Fox, they said, "How's Sunshine doing the pickup girl?" Oh, he proposed to her twice.
No, 3 times already.
He went from Catholicism to Baptist. That's a mean to make a man change gods.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Oh, I was watching Layla Rashawn. My mom was watching Waiting to Exhale. Layla
Yes.
Rashawn was in there.
Mhm.
So I just, out of curiosity, it was like she was so fine back in Waiting to Exhale. I wonder what she looks like nowadays.
Uh-oh.
That's a whole different conversation. Yeah.
It
Go,
ain't
go,
pretty.
go, Chris. Go, Chris. Opening right there.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Handle it, man.
Go for it, Chris. Go
I'll,
for it.
I'll put it like this. There's a 35th anniversary of Dirty Dancing being re-released to movie theaters. So I thought about, for the panel, pick 2 movies that you would not mind going back to see in the theater that's being re-released. Now I'll give you my 2 and then we'll pass it off. First has to be Malcolm X. I think Malcolm X was very well done. We're talking about back in the 70s where Richard Pryor was about to play Malcolm X in the movie theater. I'm talking in the movie role with Gordon Parks as director.
Get
So
out of
this is
here.
going-
I did not know that.
Right, back in the 1970s. So this has been going on for a while. And the dedication for Denzel Washington's role as Malcolm, he purposely stopped eating pork for 1 year to get that alignment to being Muslim. And so that way, by the time he, submitted himself as the type of character and driven position, he felt more, he said in an article, he wanted the same spirit that moved Malcolm to help move him during the role.
All right.
And it worked. And it worked tremendously. And so remember, because back in the day, remember they had different, the funding was cut off at one point. They couldn't continue it. Then Oprah stepped in and Bill Cosby stepped in.
Yep.
Michael Jordan had given money for the movie to continue production all that time. So to me, Malcolm X was like, again, the effort of a lot of people to see come to fruition. That's my first movie. The second movie we just talked about, Harlem Nights. Right to this day, probably one of the most best starred movies. No matter what your race is, it had everybody in that movie. And thanks to Eddie Murphy being not only director, producer, writer, and star, he did all of that.
And it bombed at the box office.
Man, but we knew it wasn't a bomb. I mean, we knew it was an all-star cast.
Yeah,
and it eventually became a cult classic. But in the box office in the beginning, nobody liked it because it plays to certain people and didn't get it. We got it. It was a beautiful movie. Huh?
I bought it.
Yes.
Kiss my entire ass.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm
talking
about.
Kiss my entire ass.
Entire. And another thing I liked about the movie was the chemistry between everybody. Ooh. Everybody had a vibe going that actually worked, man.
Ooh. Especially Della Reese and Red Fox.
And they went way back. I mean, back in the day, I was reading an article that they used to open up for each other. So if Red Fox got a gig, he would call Della Reese and vice versa. Yes. So they had a great history. And that showed in, man, look. Yes. I can't drink orange juice ever the same again.
Right. Why are you going to leave this little bit of orange juice in here? I got a taste of my orange juice.
Right.
You just let 2 swallows in here.
Well, swallow, shut the fuck up.
You blind motherfucker.
You fat bitch. You should go in there and tell her you're sorry. Raw fat bitch. Remember the parrot in the background?
Love that.
Classic.
Classic. So I'm going to hand off to Professor Reggie Miles. What 2 movies that come to mind that you like to see if you had to go to see in the theater again?
I would have put Harlem Nights in both of them, in both of the spots. Just not only that, I like the dynamic between Eddie and Richard. I liked the way he was paying homage to all of the comedians, the 2 that was before him. He loved Richard, but the thing about it is that he seeded Robin Harris.
Yes.
Charlie Murphy.
His brother, yep.
Yeah, Charlie Murphy, Robin Harris, any other great comedian at that time, Arsenio. Mm-hmm. He had his people on the side, but that damn Danny Aiello, man, that's oh man,
you lied to me, Ray. You didn't. You
He
lied to me,
and
Ray.
he just died, a little while. But
He
then,
did.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh, I did not
yeah,
know
he just
that.
passed. But if I had to go with that, and it had to be another Spike flick, I'd have to go with Do the Right Thing, man.
Yeah.
I'd have to do those two, man, because even though I hated it, the fact that it was a New York thing,
Mhm.
it was a New York thing. But when Samuel L. Jackson played Dr. Love Daddy, when he was spitting them rhymes
Mhm.
in the radio, that was cool. Rosie Perez she was just Mookie. She was just killing me with what she was doing. That I love Bill Nunn.
Yes.
You don't love hate.
He said,
Love,
"Bam!"
oh yeah, you knock hates away. That. But my favorite and the Do the Right Thing was that damn bugging out, man. Oh, that scene with bugging out. How come you got no blacks on the wall? Oh, and bugging out when the white boy stepped on his gym shoes, and
Yo,
I can't
Sal.
think of his name. Yeah, and he was crazy. But my favorite part, let me take my favorite part when Robin Harris and Frankie Faison and the other dude was sitting over there drinking that Kool-Aid, and they was talking about each other's names, and well, whatever it was, it was Sweet Dick Willie
Right.
talking about them Koreans, and he would tell him, man, F you, I'm going over there and get me a beer from them Koreans.
Right.
Robin Harris play, and then ML said, let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you what you said. Let me see. Well, I can't think of it, but that scene, I had to get it and put it. I'm gonna look for it and see if I can put it up. But that scene when they were sitting across the street from the Korean shop, and they started talking, and he started telling about the plight of black people. I just love that. Do the Right Thing and Harlem Nights for me.
Oh man, ML's character was like, "I'm going to break it down."
Yeah,
and
that's
he
it.
was like, "Let us be broke, motherfucker. Come on."
That's it.
Tell you.
That's it, man. That's it.
And the great thing about the mindset of Robin Harris, and Spike Lee mentioned this in various interviews, all you had to do was give him the character, and he just went
Ad-libbed?
off by himself. Right. He never wrote for him.
Wow.
He never wrote for him. Even his last movie he did with him, Mo Better Blues. You give him the character, everything he does off the dome.
Yep.
Wow.
Amazing
It would
talent.
really be interesting to
Sweet
know
Dick Willie.
how many of those parts in these movies that we know and we love so much, how much of it was really ad-libbed and how much of it was written down?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, especially the actors that can really ad-lib.
Yeah, oh,
Like
yeah.
Chris Tucker is supposed to be a real good ad-libber.
He was
know what
like
I mean?
that. Remember the TV show Rock with Charles S. Dutton?
Oh yeah.
So Jamie Foxx had appeared on there a few times as a character. You couldn't write for Jamie Foxx. Every time Jamie Foxx appeared on the show, he just ad-libbed.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Same with Bernie Mac.
Yep.
Wow.
Amazing talents, man.
That had to be
Amazing
fun.
talents.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, who's next?
But go ahead.
You know, see, I can't really say because I don't. I've got a home theater.
Mhm.
I've got a projector with a 150-inch picture on my wall. You know, so I don't even want to go to the theater, especially now with COVID, especially making a comeback. I'm just like,
Okay, we got your own theater. What movies would you like to pop in and see?
you know, I'm a sci-fi buff, so sound is really important to me.
Oh,
So
there you go.
You know, I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna be like Lord of the Rings and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that was one of the biggest, like, most powerful trilogies, like, out there. Lord of the Rings and all three of those. Matter of fact, I may go watch one of those tonight.
I seen that new Thor though.
Did you? I was thinking
Oh,
about
how
going
is
there
it?
today.
Oh no, shit. Throwing Thunder.
Yeah, Love
Love
and
and
Thunder.
Thunder.
Yeah.
It got bad
Man.
ratings. Bad
Huh?
reviews.
It
It
got
got
bad
bad
review.
reviews. Yeah.
Well, this superhero and then this love story thing. That's kind of like, I mean, it's done played out.
I love Natalie Portman though. She got a nice
Yeah.
little white girl booty.
Yeah, but that had
You
played
know.
out, but I mean, Thor throws the lightning through Zeus's chest. Now that's some deep
Negro,
stuff.
did you have to say that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you see that's some hating shit right there?
I mean, it don't
you
make no
have to say
difference
that?
because you still got to see it.
Still
And,
gotta
you,
see it.
and
I didn't want to know that.
even if I told you, you wouldn't have knew. People be talking about that stuff. You spoiling the movie. You ain't spoiling. Cause when I could tell you about it right there, and then it won't dawn on you. Cause as soon as you see this flick, when it start off, you're gonna be tripping.
This nigga here. Okay.
You're gonna be tripping because listen, man. I could sit here, but I ain't gonna do it. But it's straight up. It's straight up.
No
cold.
spoilers, but he throws lightning through Thor's chest.
Yeah, that's
Zeus's
right.
chest.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
And then when you mess around, right, and be a comic book buff, right, and then you say, a person that picked up Thor's hammer, and then in the comic books, the only one that could pick up Thor's hammer was the Hulk, and then this other person that picked up the hammer, that just blew my mind. That just blew my mind right then and there, cause somebody else picked up the hammer.
Buck, you might as well not even watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it now, man.
Yeah,
I was
it's-
actually thinking about going to the theater today.
Yeah,
To
I
go
mean,
see
don't.
it in the theater.
don't even watch it, bro.
Listen to me
It's
and
so-
don't watch it.
Listen to me.
It-
and Don't watch
Save
it.
yourself some money, cause
Look,
if I get a chance, I'm going to see it again.
Look,
I mean, cause
you
even
just
I done
ruined it for
saw it
you, bro.
already. I mean, it was just cold.
I was going to the matinee for $9.99.
I'm going next Tuesday when it's $5. So it don't make no difference.
It
man.
ain't $5 here in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
we got $5
Tuesday-
Tuesdays at the
Yeah,
market.
Tuesday's is senior day, so that's
Yeah.
why you get to
Oh,
do that.
okay, well, I don't qualify.
Yeah, no, it's $5 Tuesdays at the markets, man. So I'm gonna go
Okay.
and handle that again because it was cold.
Yeah,
You know what pisses me off is how these movie theaters now have assigned seating. So you can't sneak into one theater and then go into the next theater
Oh,
and go
man.
and see another. I used to be there all day.
yeah.
Now
That
they got
ain't
assigned seating.
that ain't stopping some of the youngins, man. Because the youngins,
Apparently.
man, they was trying to open the door on the side to get through the theater. Because then I'm seeing all. I mean, and the little hooligans today, I just had to crack up. I said, I just have to crack up because, and I don't blame them because it's like $60 to go in there and check out a movie.
Mm.
And you know what's funny? What I would do is I would go and I'd see 3 or 4 movies, right? I'd be there all day, but I would buy me some popcorn and a drink or, something, because that's where the movie theaters make all their money.
Yeah,
They don't
that's
make hardly any money.
That's $40 right there because it only costs $20 to get in.
Right, but they don't make hardly any money on the admission. That goes all to the movie companies. But they make all their money on the concession. So I would at least go and get some popcorn, decent sized popcorn, a drink, and maybe some candy. So the movie theater, and they would never bother me, because they know that I gave them their money.
Man, they cut down on the nachos. I was mad. I had to me and my
Nachos.
daughter.
Oh, I want some nachos now. Reggie, you're a bad influence. You know that?
Me and my daughter
Look. We getting ready to end this episode. Can I get my 2 movies in?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh,
I want to
man.
go. I want to go back in the time on y'all. I'm going to go back to the catalog of black exploitation films.
Oh, no.
Along the lines of what we were talking about with Malcolm X, I'm going to hit a remake of Sweet Sweetback.
Oh, okay. You going way back.
What movie was that?
That was an outstanding movie.
You talking about Melvin Van Peebles, man.
Yes, sir. Sweetback.
The badass song. I thought you was gonna say the Mac or something.
No. But I will throw a twist and say my second movie remake anything.
Pam Grier, come on.
Yep, come on, that's it. You
Oh,
got.
I knew it.
Did she ever do a porno?
No,
She
she
didn't have
never
to.
did porn. But if you can find a woman with a set of jugs the size of Pam Grier nowadays to play her role.
Uh-oh.
You have been listening to SNN Street News Now. Every Thursday evening, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel, and please don't not type in big boobs. Type in SNN Street News Now. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share.
I like that last scene though, when she was getting ready to kill the dude, when he found out that he was playing her and she was crying, and then she just went on and shot him. I like that, boy. Pam was cold.
Yeah, shotgun.
Yeah, shot him.
In his private part.
Yeah, and he was trying to beg, oh, coffee, baby. She, oh, no, you lied, Pam. I said, oh.
She would go bam and get bam.
With a white woman upstairs.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Ooh, we got to get out of here now, I'm telling you. For Dr. Ron.
Yes.
For Buck Wheezy. For Professor Reggie Miles. Also for Mike Love. And for our Phillies leader, Lee Michaels, Chris Bass. Continue to be peaceful. And Reggie, before we get out of here, give one of those hearty bam and good night. Do it.
Good night.